All right, we're live streaming and we're recording and we have a lot of people here, so we can keep it down to low. I'd appreciate it. And we'll let the ZBA do the work.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Well, after 6. Dan, please read the meeting notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Village of Homer Zoning Board of Appeals will meet in person at Town Hall in Homer, located at 31 North Main Street on May 28th, 2026 at 6 p.m. to consider the following pursuant to the current Village of Homer Code of Ordinances. Appeal 518-206 South Main Street, property use variance.
Usually we start off with an explanation from the applicant to say what you're trying to do, and that's the starting point. Yeah.
Take your name for the record too, please.
My name is Michael Sweeney. We're trying to put a homeschool co-op into the building.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yeah, we're trying to make space for the community. As you can see, there's a lot of support for the community for it. Just there's nothing like this in Homer, and equally no building that suits our needs in Homer, except for this one. We submitted the plans. We've been working with an engineer, trying to do everything, communicating with Kevin, and just making sure that what we're doing is all according to regulation. And we hope that you will consider our appeal to change the use so that we can bring these good people the programming that they're looking for.
You said your name for the record, I appreciate it.
Sure, Bryn Carr, and I'm the director of the not-for-profit that is looking to move into the building.
Thank you.
Could you just define, you said a homeschool cooperative?
Well, whatever she
That
is. I just own the building.
So we do things like having classes and support programs for kids during the day. We run a youth orchestra, for example, where we offer free music lessons. We do the choir. All of those sort of enrichment programs for kids as well as for adults, cooking classes, that kind of thing. We're currently doing that in a bunch of pop-up locations in Homer and Cortland. So this would be our office that we'd be moving to one central location to have us operate out of that as an office, and also the programming associated with our organization operating out of it.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay. Well, you said classes. Can you elaborate on that some?
Yeah, certainly. So for example, this past week, we had about 15 kids that were interested in a theater class. And so we did a 1 hour long class for them where we provided boxes of props to some small groups and taught them about the hero's journey. So a little bit of that ELA lessons in there. And then they were challenged to create a 1-act play, and they performed the 1-act plays. We've also done things like teaching, setting out a bunch of salad ingredients and talking about nutrition and healthy eating. And then the kids put salads on their plates and try new foods. We've done that with adults too. That's a great one for adults. Healthy eating. Meg has come and done things like breathing and calming exercises for both adults and kids as well for those kind of workshops. Again, we have the music lessons that we offer. So we teach violin, piano. We have the choirs, that kind of stuff.
So my understanding, this is enrichment
Yes.
activity.
So we're not looking to open a school, if that's what you're asking. We might do tutoring support for kids one-on-one, but we're not looking to open a school or an educational organization. This is enrichment support. Exactly. Yes.
So Mike, when you purchased, how long do you own the property?
Just about a year.
Okay, when you purchased it, what was your intention at that point?
To store extra vehicles in, because I'm running out of vehicle space in my current building next door. So in the way we've got it designed, I could still use part of the space to store a vehicle if I need to. Yep.
Yep, so you see in the plans, we're creating a floor to ceiling firewall, walling off one garage entrance that has a completely separate entrance to the rest of the building, and that would be for truck and forklift and that kind of thing.
I noticed in the application it says this is in a flood zone, so how have you worked with JSH to mitigate that risk?
So, Jacob Hollister, that's my business. I drew the plans. I've worked with, or I talked with Dan previously, about the, DEC application for the floodplain, whether or not we will need to, do that or not. It was kind of in my understanding to, at least get a preliminary set and get into this meeting prior to determining whether or not we would need to do that. So at this point, we haven't done anything to further that application process. That's kind of where we sit with that at the moment.
Just clarify, you don't know yet how you would mitigate the flood risk.
ZBA has to make the decision to allow it in the first place. Then the floodplain permit will be with planning and on their site plan review.
So if, okay, so the planning board would review the floodplain mitigation, and if that's not compatible then with the change of use, how does that get worked out?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know how, I don't know the extent of the flood issue, and so in terms of working with whatever is going to be proposed to occur at the building, what if the two things
What-
don't
what about
work out, whatever you have to do to keep the water back?
Yep, the demands on the site plan will dictate what the floodplain permit will allow or not allow. And again, that's a planning board matter, because if this does not occur, then there's no reason for any of the other exercise. That's all.
Thank you.
We're not making any changes to the external part of the building. We're not paving, we're not building out, we're not changing the roof plan at all. So everything that existed for the business that was operating less than a year ago in that space on the outside would remain the same as far as, runoff and water and all that kind of thing.
Fran's not here. Is anybody acting as,
Frank could not be here tonight.
what, how would that use be classified? What, it's not industrial. What would you call what they're proposing?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of zoning, it wouldn't be mixed use because it's not multi-story, for my understanding of the zoning law. Our process has kind of been the amount of occupancy for the building, kind of is gonna deem it mostly assembly, unfortunately. It doesn't, kind of just slightly breaches that peak. Ideally, we'd like to be, categorized just business. That seems more appropriate for what's actually occurring. But based on proposed occupancy, I think will be higher than that and have to fall under assembly.
I'm asking because I don't yet, for myself, understand which parking regulations we would be interested in making sure met, what signage regulations, and if I don't quite get how to classify it, I don't know where to look in our rules, and the lawyer's not here, so we need some help.
If the usage was allowed, then it's a use that's allowed in the industrial district. Therefore, any and all rules and regs that are in the industrial district will pertain to that use. You don't go to another zone. It's still in the industrial zone. You're not changing the zone, you're changing the use.
Well, what parking regulations apply?
Well, parking regulations are in the industrial zone.
There must be no off-site parking of motor vehicles. Each lane user must provide sufficient suitable on-site parking spaces to prevent any necessity of off-site parking as required.
How many parking spaces? Where are they?
So there is parking down the side of the building, there's parking out back of the building.
It's reflected in the plan on another page. I think.
Two,
Put a lot out back.
What about your one resident looks across the railroad tracks? I see he sent a memo.
Yes, so there's, I measured it today, even if I were to park a vehicle, which we don't, but if I did. My technicians park against the Cook Brothers building now, and if I park there, it still leaves 13 yards.
For him to get through.
Yeah, to get 13 yards, whatever that
It
is.
just has to be something you gotta keep track of.
Right,
that's all.
yeah, yeah. Yep, we do it, when I plow it so we can get back there, it's all that. Yep,
That's all reflected in the plans as well, maintaining that right of way.
and making sure that right away.
Do that, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So are 11 parking spots sufficient for this number of people that you're gonna be having there? I mean, it looks like you're gonna be having anywhere from. 40 to 80 people at a time.
Yeah, if I can address that. So currently, our biggest programs, which would be probably the farmers market and the, one of the summer camps, are housed at the Center for the Arts Homer, which also does not have great parking. And so, we've developed a whole system, that's pretty robust to deal with that. So first of all, we do staggered arrival and staggered leaving. So although we may have, say, 40 participants in the building at one time, we have this age group arrive at 8 AM and this age group arrive at 8:30, so that we're not having that many people there at a time. We also do a system where, as you'll see on the plan, there's a loop. So you come in as you're facing the building on the right-hand side, and you can drive around the building and leave on the left-hand side. And that's what we've done at the Center for the Arts. So we actually do a sort of school pickup style thing where we come and bring your child to you and you're not even parking.
And what about for the farmer's market?
So that one, it tends to trickle in a little bit at a time. And this, you have to understand, we're staying at the Cayuga Street location for the farmers market, except in the case of adverse weather, or if we have indoor farmers market events. So last year, that was 2 events that we had. But the market runs for 3 to 4 hours at a time, depending on if it's one of those special events or not. And so never have we ever had everyone attend the farmers market in one moment. It's, people trickling in
Farmer
a
market's
little bit
on
at a time.
Saturday, we're not open on
Yeah.
Saturday. Up to business on Saturday.
And
So they
so,
can park on your property.
Maybe park on-
exactly.
Absolutely.
Same thing with our Sunday youth program, that's when I originally approached him, that was the agreement, was that we have all that space around Sweeney's as well for our weekend programming as well. Which is on the same site, it's not like anybody's crossing a road.
Right.
Could you point out the lot lines?
This is the line. So this is the highway. This is the line. So that's a pin, just those are pins, that's a pin.
And this is a building.
Yep.
And this is,
Well, that's just dirt. This is parking, right? It's the railroad tracks are close to there and they do have.
Oh, right.
7 foot right away. So that's 3 here, so. Yep, into the grass.
okay,
Yep.
so maybe this is a design build question, but what percentage of the gross area does that building cover?
Do you have the total acreage? I'm sorry.
Not including.
I don't have a figure.
Not including the railroad.
Yeah. 5, 8.
Yeah, but that doesn't include the railroad, right?
No.
Taking that out.
Okay, I don't have that figure at the moment. It may be on the actual survey, which.
Surveys in the application.
I'll have to double check that.
Yes. This. He's getting.
That's helpful, because they don't. Look at 50%. Maybe. Actually, we could do a lot of right. No.
Yeah, so it's the existing.
And the grandfather did, whatever that.
Yeah, because the buildings exist and no,
It's not what we're considering.
So does he still need that number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep, sure.
it'd be good just to have, but I
Yeah.
think, I don't know that would come in as like. That could. Yeah, how would we tell that?
Right.
We talk about that, how loud, that's our turn.
Right. But then we would need the information.
Don't ask questions.
I don't. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I don't know, so.
I don't have exact numbers excluding the driveway. The acreage minus the estimated square footage of the building still reaches 30,000 square feet, almost exactly. And that's to the center line of the road, so that's taking the 58 acres from the 73 square feet of the building. So if you're looking for more direct information minus the right of way, I don't have that directly.
Thank you.
You own that rental house too, Mike?
No.
No.
Barber. L Barberi.
There's a lot of cars around mine.
Yeah, they, again, if you look on like on the survey, they've got a right of way, they use my driveway
Yeah, that was another.
to pull
Basically the
into.
question I got.
Yeah, yep, I plow that too, cause this plow guy doesn't plow my driveway, he just plows their driveway.
They got
Real convenient.
trash all over the place. Sorry.
Yeah, I can say the tenants out back are very clean, if they spill garbage, they pick it up.
Been down there several times and picked up a lot.
Yeah, I constantly pick it up out in front of Cook Brother. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, do we have any more questions for the applicant?
So,
I think we'll move on to our internal discussions. So first, let me just kind of preface that this is a request for a use variance. And that is a very high bar to be granted a use variance. Typically, a zoning board deals with an area variance, which is I want to move my shed closer to the property line, or I want to live outside. So that's just tweaking a value in the zoning. This is actually changing the zoning, so. In an area variance, we can consider. There's a balancing test that we have to consider, does this affect the neighborhood? How much of a change is this? And we can weight those kind of at our discretion. For a use variance, it's a mandatory test that all of the things must be passed, so. Let me just read what the use variance balancing test is.
In your packet. Where's the back?
Third page from the back.
The balance test for use variance. As the applicant demonstrated that the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return, and the lack of return is substantial and has not been demonstrated by competent financial evidence. So that's, I mean, that's a pretty high bar to actually show. I have this property, I can't use it. In the industrial zone as it's intended and realize a return. It's not possible, but it requires like proof of that this is my investment, this is my return, this is what. So that there's a lot that would go into that.
And do you have any of that information?
No, I wasn't told this till today,
Okay.
we were just told this afternoon.
About 2 hours ago.
Yeah, that I knew I had to jump over that bar.
Sorry. The number two is that the applicant demonstrated the alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district neighborhood. That one will be tough, because it's not that you are on a big slope that you can't use for an industrial purpose that you want to reuse it, so.
Sure.
The third one is, has the applicant demonstrated that the requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood? That one seems fairly straightforward. I don't think that there would be too much argument against that, so. Of them, that one's the easier one. The fourth one is, has the applicant demonstrated that the alleged hardship has not been self-created? So a use variance, I don't know that we've granted a use variance. So this is going to be difficult to do. I've heard a lot of people support this idea. I don't like personally, I don't know. I think it's great what you guys are trying to do. I just wanted to kind of warn that the use variance path to this is gonna be difficult. There's possibilities of rezoning. I don't know. That would be kind of a village office kind of decision. But there is a way to get a use variance that exists, but I just want to be clear that it's unlikely to have a quick, easy to answer to this. Okay.
Am I able to ask you a question?
Sure.
Is that all? Okay. With regards to the use variance, we noticed in the current zoning for industrial that it said it could be offices and all associated activities with that. Is,
So that could be a possible path to a resolution, like
okay,
some angle like that, where it actually isn't, it is used as the district intended, so
okay,
it's possible that we could interpret something that way, but. Yes, I think.
So is it enough if she puts her office in there and runs her
It's a
charitable
plan.
organization? I have no-
That would be up to kind of lawyer dissecting the verbiage of what this means, so. The village has an attorney that if you had someone that they could talk to, that there's possible resolution that could be found that way. But it may be a creative interpretation.
is that, so that's something the lawyer would interpret rather than the ZBA, or just so we have clarity on the way forward with this?
We would have to make the final decision, but we would rely heavily on.
What the
Okay.
lawyer talks.
I mean, we're trying to interpret this to real life. And so, yeah, that's so,
Thank you, I appreciate your patience with my questions.
of course.
So I think that the right thing to do would be table this. And figure out exactly how you want to go about going for that, and if you're gonna go for the use variance, you're gonna have to demonstrate these 4
Yeah,
tests that we have.
yeah,
We should be able to approve that.
we would have to be able to answer. Yes to all of these, or no to all, so. They all have to pass, so use variance is the high bar, and we can't just say. It's gonna be okay, like a shed moving. It's part
Good
of the-
idea,
part of the
doesn't
law.
matter.
Yeah, it's part of the law, so. Yeah, but Dan, I think you're right, I think. It would be unfair to vote on it as it stands right now. But. That said, is there any other questions or discussion based on that?
I think we're all kind of in favor of something like this, but you're right, we need to table it for 30 days.
Yeah, it's,
Path for it to work.
yeah, and I think.
We've got to give you butt coverage, basically. Sure. This doesn't come back and hurt you guys or the next board or the next
Yeah,
board.
if you sit
Right.
through zoning board training, like I said, they pretty much gloss over use variance because they say they're so rare that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You're rarely going to grant it.
I have another question too. You say it's rare in the 4 of you or in the history of ZBA?
If you read up on.
In the
use
history of municipalities, the use variances are very difficult to obtain because you have to prove a financial hardship for that property for the current use of it, so. Usually they're in areas that are zoned specifically for that use, and typically those people buy those properties for that intended use. So when you apply for a use variance, you have to be able to prove that that building can't be used for the designed use ever, and that you have a financial hardship from that.
Okay. I mean, just historically, looking at the zoning map, there are several zoned industrial areas within the village that do not serve industrial purpose. The Elks Lodge is one.
But they might have been there prior to the zone.
To the zoning, okay.
Just like the apartment house.
The alternative would be a change of zone or an exception.
Yeah, I haven't been involved in
Right, but that might
changing
be
a
something to
zoning
talk
law,
about.
but change in the district would also be bad. A definition of what industrial.
Deliberative process it is.
Sorry,
The deliberative process it is.
yes,
Can I just ask a question? My name is Kelly Horax. I've worked with, Bryn's organization for several years as a volunteer. I'm a retired teacher and I do a lot of stuff with her and I don't know anything about zoning. So, except that I like zoning. Because you buy a house because you like the neighborhood, I completely get that. So I'm supportive of that. You did say something at the beginning about that things were up to your discretion. And I guess for maybe most of us who don't know the legal part of it or the laws that are written in the book. It just feels like this offers so much for so many people, especially young kids. There are so many positives to it. I don't see a defensible downside to it. Especially they seem to have gone through a lot of effort to make sure that nothing on the exterior changes, that the use is pretty much the same as it's been. as far as impact on the neighborhood and parking and all that sort of thing. And I guess it's a little bit frustrating to feel like, because it's in the book and that's what it's written and it's never happened before, that this is what we're gonna do. And I just feel like, is it possible to just think, could this be an organic process where, you know what? In this time and in this place and for this circumstance, this really is a win-win situation and it isn't negatively impacting anyone anywhere. So could we possibly use our discretion to, and I know you're not gonna do that tonight, I get it. The reason I'm concerned is I know that they wanted to start things in the fall. And if they can't start making any changes to the building or whatever until August, that's not gonna happen. You're wasting like a year of how this could happen. So I guess I'm hearing so much of this never happens and it's, you know, the bar is so high, nobody's ever jumped over it. Is that really where we are?
So the discretion I spoke of is an area variance. In a use variance, it's clear that the law states that balancing test is a must. You have to clear all of those. We can't say it's not a big deal, but to go down the use path variance or use variance path,
There is no discretion.
that's
what
the
it's law.
problem.
The discretion part comes in when you're applying for an area variance, which is a totally different application.
It's too bad.
No, so there's no discretionary element in use variances.
It's a discretionary
portion of it, but-
interpretation of those 4 questions, but you have to have some financial numbers to be able to back up those questions. So it's a must. If you read up on an area variance, the balancing test are suggestions, and you can weight them as appropriate. In a use variance, they are must pass questions.
And there is discretion, when we have to determine if it's gonna change the character of the neighborhood, that would be a discretion thing, but that's just one part of the use variance.
Right. I know it's frustrating because it feels like you're going the opposite direction. You're not trying to put a chemical plant in the neighborhood. You are.
Yeah.
Going the other way.
First, okay,
The balancing test, yeah.
so we're calling the high bar.
If this is, you could Google the use variance and these questions are available, but number 1 was, has the applicant demonstrated the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return and the lack of return is substantial and has been demonstrated by competent financial evidence. And number 2 is, has the applicant demonstrated the alleged hardships relating to the property in question is unique, does not apply to a substantial portion of the district. I've got to figure that out.
I think it's important that it doesn't go with that this is maybe a terrific idea or a wonderful idea or may work here. But zoning in the United States has been approved from the Supreme Court from Euclid versus Ambler in 1960. And so it's got a long history in this country. And a lot of controversy. So that is true. But I think as a zoning board in a small town, we try hard to follow precedent and to follow the way the rules are, because then the next group that comes in, they may think it's a terrific idea. And half of us do, and half of us don't. And so they'll go, oh, but those other people. And so it needs to be consistent over time. And if we've got these tests, these rules, try hard to stick with them, because the other people, next people may say their idea is terrific. And I might say it's a pretty dumb idea, but why should we let you guys do it and not them? So I think just try pretty hard to be fair and consistent.
Can I just make sure I understand next steps as you've outlined it? So it sounds like we should talk to the village lawyer about whether or not falls under offices in the current zoning. And,
There's an interpretation, yes.
okay, and then, we put together an argument to those 4 points. An alternative 2 paths essentially, or if the first one is no, go to the second one possibly.
I think the second, maybe simultaneous path is to start exploring, what about changing this from industrial to, as I asked at the very beginning, what else could it be called? What other, you know,
That's-
sounds that it fits with, and we don't have to do all this rigmarole.
And that conversation has begun, very preliminary. I would be remiss to say the village attorney is the village attorney. He's not the applicant's counsel.
Right.
So you may need to secure your own counsel. So doesn't mean we're not helpful, of course we are, but I just need to make sure we clarify that they're working for the village and not.
Oh,
have to do.
of course, yeah, thank you. And so when we're talking about actually changing the zoning, that would have to be for that whole area though, right? Not just our building?
Well,
You
so-
talked about zoning, and
No,
you need to talk,
We don't.
right?
spot zoning does not occur, it is frowned upon, but the strip, if you will.
Mhm.
If you look at our zoning map across the road, where the dilapidated buildings used to be, there's now a linear park
Mhm.
that's in the works for that. That whole section is B2. So the
Right.
thought is maybe taking B2 and crossing the street,
Okay.
giving Albany International ID, the rest of it B2. But again, that's just a conversation, and it is a very deliberative process that takes some time to get to.
Like years?
Not necessarily years, but there's a lot of folks that have their say so, county, various public hearings we have to do. It's a process. It's not gonna be ready for September, let's put it that way.
So if we decided that this is something the community needs in the next couple of years, and we go and we have a no about the office's approach, and we decide to try and meet those 4 points. Am I understanding correctly that we put together the evidence for those 4 points, and then it's up to your review and discretion if we have met those 4 points in this individual case? Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna shut up.
Any more discussion on this one? So I want to move to. Favor? So I do apologize. I know this is terribly frustrating, but use variances where our hands are really kind of tied. A lot of this. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for turning out. You will likely receive a petition to sign in the next few days. So keep an eye out for the petition. Great job, Ben. Thanks,
Hanging out all of my stuff.
Don't let them, lady fall.
Meeting folks, if I could just have anyone. Yep. Appreciate it.
You know what I mean? That's mine.
Good anniversary. That's always right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. I so appreciate your time. I'm sure we will be in touch.
Don't hold me to. Thank you.
It's also. It's fast. Yeah.
Alright, so
We're still live. We got a. Well, we got minutes.
Meeting still on, still
Yep,
recording, still
Yep.
streaming?
Yeah, we're still on. I don't see the.
October 26th.
And I'll second that motion too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are passed.
Surpass. And then,
Out of here.
Somebody make the good one.
well, like you've been doing a wonderful job so far with these motions, well,
Motion to agree?
you gotta call a motion to adjourn, and I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to adjourn.
And I'll second that
All in
motion.
favor?